Hello everyone, it's Professor Noor, and today we're gonna do chapter number 3, working with large worksheet, charting, and what-if analysis. So the objective of this chapter is to rotate the text in a cell, to create a series of month names, to copy, paste, and insert and delete the cells, to format the numbers using format symbols, to enter and format the system date, to use absolute and mixed cell references in a formula, to use the if condition to perform logical testing, creating and format a sparkline chart, and then how to change the sparkline types and styles, and how to freeze and unfreeze the rows and columns, how reorder the sheet tabs, how to create the goal seek to answer what if questions. So let's start the chapter. The first thing is that in this chapter, they talk about assumptions. So assumptions are values in a cell that you can change to determine a new values for a formula. So let me start Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel. When you open Excel, the first is that the welcome screen, it says good afternoon, all right? And then we're gonna start with a blank worksheet. I will maximize it. Now what we wanna do, I will zoom the screen. And then our Excel is not saved, it's book 1. Excel is the application. This side here is the quick access toolbar. And then if you look in the right-hand side, is your minimize, maximize, and close. And this icon is about the ribbon option if you want to change the ribbon. Now, for the first thing is that we have to start creating the title for our worksheet. So the first is once you open Excel in A1, we have to write down the title, which is Kathleen's ice cream shop. Then press the enter key. Now in A2, we have to insert the subtitle of our worksheet. It's a 6-month financial projection. Then press the enter key. Now, the next is we have to change the theme. The theme is meant to change the background, the color of your text, the formation, the script of your text is going to change with the theme. So to change the theme, we have to go to page layout. The first group is a theme. You will click the small down arrow. And then we have to change to 7. It should be under the S7. That should be the formation of our worksheet. 7. So click on it. As you see that the title and the subtitle change according to the formation of the team 7. After that, we have to rotate the text in a cell, right? So we have to go to B3. And we have to type the first column name in B3. So I will say January. Press the enter key. Now we want to rotate January. So to rotate January, what we need to do is go to home, go to the alignment group, and then you will see alignment. You will click the small gray down arrow in the right of the alignment. And then you will see in the right-hand side of the format cell dialog box is gonna say orientation, right? So we wanna change this to 60 degree. So you can move the bar until it becomes 60 degree, or you can just type 60, or you can spin the arrow up to make it 60. Then click OK, and you have seen January has moved and is rotated now. Now we have to use the fill handle to create the series of month names. We have to use the fill handle to create the series of month names. You see I have a square box in here. So move your cursor over it until you see the tiny plus sign, hold it and drag it to the right until June. So as you move over the cells, you will see the screen tip shows you the next will be February, March, April, May, June, July. So we want to end up with June. So, and then release your finger from the left key. Now everything is been filled from January to June. So then I will go to H3 and I'm gonna tap total. Then with the right arrow in your keyboard, I will move to I3. And then I'm gonna say, I will say chart. Right? So the next thing we wanna do now is that we have to adjust the column sizes. So to do that, the column A, you will go to column A. And then in the right of column A, you see I have a split arrow, a black split arrow. And then click the left key and drag it to the right until you see the screen tip says now the width I have is 8.38. So we want to make it to be 38. So we have to drag it to the right until it turns to 38. Now the column B all the way to G, we have to change the size to 14. After we created the chart, now the next thing is that we have to click the column B all the way to column G, and then we have to change the size, or you can drag it if you want to, right? So we want B, column B and column C to change to 14 by 14.20. Now we have to select H, and then the H will be 18. Right? Now we have to enter and indent the row titles. So first in A4, we're gonna say revenue, then press the enter key. Then we're gonna say cost of good sold. And then we're gonna say gross margin. And then in A8, we have to type expenses. Then we have to say bonus. We have to say commission. We have to say side or rental. We have to say marketing. We have to say equipment, repair, and management, maintenance. And then we will have in A14, you will type total expenses. And then leave the row number 15 empty. A16, we have to say operating income. Next, we need to indent the cost and the bonus commission. So what you need to do is, once you select A5, hold the control key, select bonus, select commission, site, marketing, equipment. Now release your finger, and then we have to go to the alignment, and then you have an option says increase list indent. As you move your cursor, it's gonna tell you what that is. So increase indent. Click on it. As you see, the selected sale item move to the right. All right. Now we have to go to A8, and we have to type what if exceptions. Now we're gonna copy A9 all the way to A12. To copy, I will go to the clipboard group under the home tab. I will hit copy. As you see the flash, the dotted lines that indicate that you have selected these multiple cells. Now we have to go to A9, A19, and then we have to hit paste. So we hit paste. Now we have to get rid of the flashing box, so you have to press the escape key. Escape in your keyboard. Escape key is located in the left of the function key F1. You can't miss it, is escape. Next, now we have to add a couple more cells. Now we have to insert a couple of new rows. So you had to go to row number 20. And then you have to do right click on the 20, row number 20. And then insert. And then we have to type sales revenue for bonus. So these are our assumptions, right? Now we have to add another one. So select the bonus. You will do right click, insert. So before we insert before we type, we have to click the small icon below the cell. And then we have to say we want the formation to be like the item below, not above, right? Because we want to indent to the right. If you leave it as it is, then it's gonna copy what if exception is looking like. So it's gonna start from the left. We want to indent. So obviously you will select the second option, same as below. Now I will type it, margin, and then as you see now, it aligned with the other row title. All right. Now we have to save the worksheet, the workbook. So go to File, Save. I will browse. I will save it under the document. And then I will call it Kathleen ice cream shop financial projection. Kathleen's ice cream shop financial projection. Save it. Now our workbook is saved as Kathleen ice cream shop financial in the top. Next, now we have to start typing. We have to populate the cells, the revenue for January and so on. So what we want to do is that we want to put the commas before we start typing, right? So to do that, we will have to highlight B4 all the way to H4. You will go to the number group and you will hit comma. All right. Then we have to go here in the exceptions and we have to add our exceptions. So it's gonna be 78.75% is your margin. 3,500. Now, as you see, the 3,500, it doesn't have a comma in between the big numbers and it doesn't have the two decimal places. So we will highlight these two. We will go to the number group, comma. You see that? Now I will type sale revenue for bonus 65,000. Then I have 25% is your commission. The side is 10%. 5% is the marketing. And the equipment is, our reception is 3.50%. Now we have to go back to the top, and we have to, once we're done with the exception, now we have to go up to the top here, and we have to type the revenue 55,000 for January. And with the right arrow, move to February, 62,500. Then 67,000. Then we have 90,250. Then we have 77,500. Then we have 74,750. All right. Next, we have to enter the date, the system date. So to do that, we have to go to H1, and then we will use the function now. Now always used to give us the current date and time. So you will start with equal now with the parentheses and press the enter key. Now, as you see, we have the date and the time. So we need to change the formation of the date and time. So to do that, you could do, you will have to go to the number group. You see the number group, you will click the small down gray arrow, and then you will go under the category, you will change it to date, and then you will scroll all the way down, and we want to find out the second last one, 3/14/2012. That's what the format of the date that I want to have in my worksheet. Click OK. As you see, it changed it. Now, the next thing that we want to do here is that we want to place only the date instead of having what? The time. So if you want, you can shrink it down. All right, you can move it. Now we have to use absolute versus relative addressing. It's very important. Now, Excel use the technique called absolute cell referencing when you don't want the value to change when you're gonna be copying or when you are gonna fill the rest of the cell, but you want to keep the value of that cell to remain fixed. Then you have to make it to be absolute, right? But in Excel, always when you copy the formula to the next cell, always we use relative cell references, right? So now to do that, what we have to do is when we're gonna copy the formula and using these cells here, we have to make these cells to be what? Absolute. Otherwise, I will show you what's gonna happen. So the first thing is we are in B5, and then always you have to start the formula with equal B4. B4 is your January revenue multiplied, then open parentheses, 1 minus B19. B19 is the margin, right? And close the parentheses. Now the question is, you said B4, which is the 55,000, multiplied by 1 minus B19, the 75%, right? So if you don't make this cell here, the B19 as an absolute, see what's gonna happen. I will press the enter key. So it tells me that I got 11,687 and 50 cents. Now we're gonna copy the formula using the fill handle. Look now. When I did that, now notice that what happened here. In C5, the revenue and the margin that we use now is changed. Now, how I get 62,500 as it is, you see, and this one are the same as the revenue. The problem is that when you double click to see how I get it, see Excel moved to the next cell, C19. So when you had 1 minus C19, so C19, there is nothing there, right? It's an empty cell. And C4 was the 62,500. That's why you got the 62,500 displayed again. Now, let's go to this one. If you double click it to see how I got the 67,000, see, Excel is keeping on moving it because Excel assumed that when you have used the B19, then obviously there is something in in C19, D19, E19. That's why Excel is copying. So now to make Excel to stick here, to remain here, we have to use the absolute method. We have to fix it so that Excel, when you copy the formula to the next cells, these will never change. So Excel is not going to move to these empty cells, right? So to do that, what I will do is I will delete this. I will start again, B5. You will start with an equal always. B4 multiplied, open a parenthesis, 1 minus. Now we want to make B19 to be absolute so that when you copy the formula, Excel is not gonna move to C19, D19, E19, F19, G19. So Excel will stick in here, it's gonna remain here. So in our formula, the B19, we wanna make it absolute. So to do that, you will tap the cell B19. At the same time, you will press F4, F4, the function key F4. And then you will close the parenthesis. Now you have noticed that we add the $ before the column and a $ before the row number. Now press the enter key. So always the first one will be right. Now the second, remember the second we had the problem with. So let me fill it down. Now everything look perfect. So let's see how I got 13,281 and 25 cents. I will double click it. It does not move to C19 like the previous exercise I show you because you made the B19 to remain absolute. All right. So when your cell is absolute, now the B19 is not gonna change. It's gonna remain there if you copy the formula. Now let's go to this one. You see the B19 is there. So that's how you made your cell to be an absolute, right? So the next one is the gross margin. So equal B4 minus B5 and press the enter key. Now in this case, you are minusing this by this to give you the gross margin, right? So in this case, you don't need to have absolute. Why? Because you see this guy also, we have to minus them, right? So when you copy the formula with the fill handle, I will get a different numbers. Look. Now because this one, these two will be minus and you will get the result. Now if I click here to see how I get the 52,000, D4 minus D5, right? Now the next thing is we have to find out the bonus. Now we have to determine if the revenue for January is greater B21. B21 is what? The sale revenue for bonuses. So if the B4 is greater or equal B21, which is 65,000, then you will either indicate B20, you will give them you will give the B21, which is you will give the bonus, right? Which is 3,500. If it's not, then you will give 0. So let's check the first one. It says that if B4, which is 55,000, is 55,000 greater than 65,000, in this case is no. 55 is less than 65,000. So for January, we don't have any bonus. But if you go to February, the revenue for February is 62,500. Is 62,500 greater equals 65,000 in B21? No, we will not get any bonus. It's 0. Now let's check March. So the revenue for March was 67,000, right? So is 67,000 is greater equal 65,000? Yes. 67,000 is greater than 65,000. So you will get B20, which is the 3,500 bonus. So let's use the if function under B9 because we want to determine the bonuses. Now to do that, you will go to the function, the fx here, in the left of the formula bar, and then you will click if. Now, if you don't have the if in the most recently used, then you will click here and you will go to all. Once you have all the function in Excel, then you will have to scroll it and you have to go under the I until you see the I. And then look for if. But if you already have used it, then you don't need that. You should sit under the recent. So that's the if here. So select the if, click open. You will get this dialog box here now. So your logical is that if B4 is greater equal what? The sales revenue for bonus, which is B21. Now we need to make the B21 to be absolute. You will push or you will press F4. As you see there, we got the dollar sign with it, right? Now, if it's true, then what you want to give it? I will give the 3,500 bonus. So I will select the B20. And I will make the B20 what? Absolute. So push the F4. Otherwise, if B4 is not greater than 65,000 in B21, then obviously you will give 0 bonus, right? Now click the result for January, you are not gonna get any bonus. You're gonna get 0. So click OK. Perfect. Now let's fill it down. Hold the fill handle. As you see, 3,500 I got here because 67 is greater than 65. 90,000 is greater than 65,000. That's why you got the 3,500 bonus. All right. Now the next thing is we have to find out the commission. The commission is you have to start the formula with equal B4 multiplied by B22, the commission, the 25% in your acceptance section. But you have to make the B22 to be absolute. So push the F4, press enter. Now we need to find the site rental. So equal B4, which was the revenue for January, multiply by the acceptance for the site rental in B23. You have 10%. So you have to make the B23 to be absolute. So push the F4. Press enter. Then we need to find out the marketing. So equal B4 multiply by the marketing acceptance, the 5%. So you will click on it. Then you will press F4 to make it absolute. Push the enter key. Now the next one, equipment, you will start equal. B4 is the revenue in January, which is the one in the top here, multiplied by B24, 25. That's the equipment. Now you have to make it absolute, so F4, press the enter key. Now we wanna get the total sum of the expenses. So we wanna get the total expense. So to do the sum, we will go back to the home, and then you will see editing group. You will use the auto sum. In the top it says auto sum. Now you want to sum from B9 all the way to B13. That's perfect. Now press the enter key. Now we want to fill it down. Before we fill that, we will have to select B10 all the way to B9, B14. Hold the fill handle, and then you have to move it like that. All right. Next, we need to find the operating income. So you will have to go to B16. The formula, you will start with equal B6, which is the gross margin, minus the total expenses, which is B14. Press the enter key. Now you have to hold the fill handle and fill it until G16. Next, now we need to determine the total now. As you see that I filled it already here, right? So to do that, we will move here and select this. And then I will go to the auto sum. When it's done, then I will go to this one here. I will select B9 all the way to H14. So simultaneously, I wanna do the sum. So I will go back to the editing, and then I will click on sum. As you see, automatic sum. Then I will go now to H16, and I will say, give me the auto sum. And you want to sum B16 all the way to G16. That's right. So push the enter key. Now, the next is to add and format the sparkline. Now, sometime you might want to condense the range of data into a small chart in order to show the trend or variation in the range. So Excel standard chart, the chart that we have in Excel might be too large or extensive for your needs. So a sparkline chart provides a simple way to show the trend and the variation in a range of data within a single cell. From a single cell, you will know the variation and the trends going on from January to June. So to do that, now the question is, why do we need the sparkline? A line sparkline chart is a good choice because it shows the trend over the 6-month period for each row of data. Now let's go to I4 so that we're gonna find out the trend and the variation from January to June, all right? So we will go to insert, under the chart, next to the chart, you should see the sparkline. You see? Then you will click on line. Now it's gonna ask you the range, your data range. So the data range for the revenue is gonna start from B4. Click on B4, highlight B, C4, D4, E4, F4, G4, because these are the month that I wanna find out the trend and the variation. And then the result will be in I4. So you don't need to change the second box. Click OK. So we got the line. Now we're gonna fill it down for the rest of the cell. Just hold the fill handle, fill it down. So once you have filled it, now you see the line. Now we're gonna change the sparkline style and copy the sparkline. Now to do that, you see the style in the ribbon. You will click the black down arrow, and then we're gonna change it to this one here. The sparkline SN4 darker 25%. Once we have done that, now we can add the marker, right? So if you see show, the group that says show, you can add marker. Now the marker is nice because it's gonna tell me that the first marker here represent January. Then the second marker February, and then the last one indicate June, right? So now from here, you will see the trend and the variation that you started with 55,000, then you did a little bit increase to 62,000. Then you have done well in March. Your revenue was 67,000. Then you moved to 90,000. Then something happened in May, you end up with 77,000 from 90,000 in April. And then in June, you had 74,000, right? So if you don't want the mark, you can take it out. You can check the mark like this. Now, we need to change the sparkline with the different type. So while my cell is already been selected, I can go back and change it to column. As you see, I click column, it changed it. All right. So now we have to save our worksheet, workbook. Now, the next is to format our worksheet. To do that, the first thing that we need to select B4 all the way to H4. And then we have to hold the control key. And we have to select B6, 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 all the way to H6. B6, all the way to H6 here. And then we want B9, all the way to H9. We want B14, all the way to H14. Then we want B16, all the way to H16. Now release your finger from the control key to select the non-adjacent ranges. Now let's go to the number group in the ribbon. And then we have to click the down black arrow. The number, this format cell number dialog box is gonna open. And then be sure that you click currency. And then we have to change to $sign. We have to select the $sign. And then if we have any negative number, they have to turn to these in a parenthesis and black color. And we need a 2 decimal place. Click OK. As you see that I got all the $sign, all right, with those cells that we selected. Now we have to select B5 all the way to H5. Then hold the control key, select B10 all the way to H13. All right, now release your finger from the control key to select the non-adjacent ranges. Then go to the number group. Now click on this icon here. And then we will click currency. This time I don't want the $sign, but I want to have a decimal, 2 decimal place. And if we have a negative value in these cells, we have to change it to a black color with a parenthesis and click OK. As you see, those ones, they don't have the $sign, but we have the comma in between, like the one with the $sign. But the only difference that we don't have the $sign with it. Next, now let's click anywhere in an empty cell to see the output. Next, now we have to format the title of the worksheet. So we have to go back to the top in A1. And then we wanna select the A1, and then we have to boldface. Click the B. Now the thing is that we can also select the column A and hit the boldface. As you see, everything is being boldfaced. Now we have to increase the size of A1 to 28. Now it's 11. I will go down here and change it to 28. Next, the A2, the size has to be 16. 16. And then we have to select A1 all the way to I2. And then we have to fill it with green accent 4. While A1 all the way to I3 selected, we have to change the text color to white. White background 1. Now click in the empty set to see what you have done. Now we have to select A3 all the way to I3, and we have to give it style. So you see the group under the ribbon, styles, click it down, and then we need heading 2. Heading 2. Next, we have to select A6 all the way to A6. Hold the control key. Select A14 all the way to H14. And then we have to select A16, H16, A16 all the way to and also we need the A16. So let me do it again. Obviously, I'm looking for A6, which is here, all the way to A6. Hold the control key, hold the control down, and select total expense A14 all the way to H14. And then at the same time, hold the control key and select A16, which is the operating income, all the way to H16. Once we have done that, now release your finger. Let's go back to the style. And then let's click the small black arrow for more. And you need the total. Under the title and heading, we are changing it to the total style. So once we have done that, now A4. Let's go to A4. And let's fill it with the green. And we want the white text. Now, once you have done that, then we will use the format painter to use the same formation in the other places we want. So in this case, revenue color, I will paste the same color to the gross margin and to the operating income. So to do that, you have to select A4 and then go to the clipboard and be sure to double click the format painter. As you see that the revenue cell has been selected. Now we will go to A6 and I will click on A6 because I want the gross margin to have the same formation as A4. Then I will go now to the A16 and I will highlight all the way to H16. As you see that it took the formation of A4. The good thing is that sometimes we might not know what formation we have used. So once you have done the formation, just copy to the cell you want to use the same formation. Now, the next thing is that I don't want anymore, so we need to remove the format painter. So you could click the format painter again from the clipboard to deselect the formation. Look, double click it. Now my cursor doesn't have the brush with it. Now next is that we have to go to A18 and then we need to change the size to 8. And we want to underline. And then we have to go to A19 all the way to B25. And then we want to change the size to 8. And then we have to select A18. And then we have to fill it the same color. So we need also to italize it. Now select A18 all the way to B25. Use the bucket and use the text. All right. So the next thing is now we have to add a cluster column chart to the workbook. So to do that, to add the cluster column chart on a separate chart sheet using a recommended chart feature. So the book says, why do we need to add this chart? This Excel feature evaluates the selected data and makes the suggestion regarding which chart type will provide the most suitable representation. So now we have to select A3, all the way to G3. And now hold the control key, select A9, all the way to G13. Once you have done that, let's go to Insert tab. And then under the chart group, you will see recommended chart. Click on it. Now Excel is going to give you all the recommendation cell, the chart. So it's up to you which one you want. These are the recommendations. So we will go with the first one. And then I will click OK. Now the chart is on the same where my data is. So we want to move this chart in a separate worksheet. To do that, while my cell is still being selected, my chart, I will move to this option here that says location. So click on move chart. When you hit that, you will get the chart title. And so the menu is here, move chart, right? You will click on new chart. And then at the same time, we will name the sheet as expense chart. And then I will click OK. So what's gonna happen now, this chart is gonna be in a new sheet with the name expense chart. If you look down here, I have only one sheet, right? So look, I will click OK. Now my chart is in a separate worksheet with the name expense chart. We need to insert a title to the chart. Title, why do we need a title? Because a chart title identifies the chart content for the viewer. Because now I might not know why you create this chart, right? So click on the chart, highlight the chart title, and then we will type 6 month, 6 month space projected space expenses. All right. So once we have done that, now the next, if you want to underline, we will select, we will go to home, or if you go to the home, then underline. As you see now, it's been underlined. Next is to add the data labels. Why do you need to add a data labels? Data labels can make the chart more easily understood. You can remove them if they do not accomplish the task. So if it doesn't, then you can remove it. So to add the data labels, you see in your chart, I have 3 icons. The plus is the chart element. The like a brush is the chart style. And then I have the third icon is for chart filter, to filter your chart. So to add the data labels, we have to go click the plus sign. And then you have to click the box that says data labels. As you see that the data shows above the chart. Now after that, if you click the small black arrow, I have more options. You want it in the center, you want it inside, you want it inside base, you want it data call out like this. So the book wants us to use the outside end. All right, so click on it. And then click to get rid of the menu or the shortcut for the chart element to hide the option. Now next is to apply filter, which is the third icon here, this one. So why we need a filter now? With some data, you might find that certain data series or categories make it difficult to examine the differences and the pattern between other series of categories. Excel allows you to easily filter the data series and the categories to allow more in-depth examination of subset of the data. So instead of having a lot of these, like you see in my chart, is so much populated. So I want to examine a couple of the data there instead of having everything on the chart. So to do that, to filter it to a specific data series, you will click this icon here. And then those that you don't want, you will take it off. Suppose I don't want bonus. I don't want commission, right? And what I need is the site rental, marketing, and equipment. These are the 3 that I have to examine them, right? Once you have choose that, then click apply. As you see now, the chart only showing you the 3 things that you selected, right? So click here to hide the option. Now the next thing that we need is to add access title to the chart. To add an access title to the chart. Why do we need that? Often the unit of measurement or categories for the chart data is not obvious. You can add an exist title or titles for both axes for clarity or completeness. So to do that, we will click the plus sign again, and then we will say give us access title. All right. As you see now, Excel add the Y axis and the X axis. You see that here? So now we're gonna click on this one here, and then we're gonna add the dollar sign. So the dollar sign. That's the amount. And then we will delete the X axis, the horizontal one. The vertical axis, we will leave it there. So just select and delete. We took it off. Now, whatever you said here, you can change the orientation, right? Now, the other way is that if you go here again, and then you click on the chart title, you click this option, you can remove if you don't want the horizontal axis to be there. In my case, when we selected the axis, we get both of them, right? So you can remove it if you don't want it, see? If I want it, I can see it now. My x-axis or my horizontal axis is now visible, right? So as you see, it's not been checked because remember we deleted it. So you can also remove it from here. You can just take off the check sign. You see here, take it out. So now only we have the primary vertical. The vertical one is the only one I have it on my chart. Next, now select the dollar and do right click inside, and then you will see format access title. So click on it. In the right hand side, you get the format access title pane. You will click the last icon that says size and properties. Click on it. Then we have the alignment, vertical alignment. How you want to do that? In the center, in the left. So it's up to you which alignment you want to do. And then the text direction. Now the text direction is like this. It's gonna go up. So if you click here, is rotate all the text 270 degree what by default is. So if you want to change it to rotate to 90 or just make it horizontal or stack the word that I typed, then you have the option. But by default is rotate all the text 90. So yes, you can change the style of it from here, right? So we don't want to change it. I will close. Next, to change the chart style. We don't want this chart style, we want to change it. So if you look, when you click the chart, now we have a contextual tab that says chart design, right? Or I can use this pencil here, the third icon, remember this one? And it's the same. If you see this and you see this, the one in the ribbon is the same thing. So either you're gonna use the icon on the chart in the right of the chart, and then you can change the style you want, or you can use the ribbon and you can change the style. So the book wants us to use style number 3. As you move your cursor, your chart is gonna change. That's the style number 3. But if you want this one, black and white, but the book wants us to have a style. As you move, it's gonna tell you what style is. So style number 3. Now this one is style number 3. See? So it's the same. Whether you want to do it from here or from here, it's the same. So the next thing now is that we have to modify the chart access number, these numbers here. Why do we need to change the access number format? Because the two decimal places in the vertical chart access number are not necessary and they make the access appear cluttered. You see, it looks cluttered now with these two decimal places. So we don't want it. Select and then click on any of the number until you get format access. Click on it. Then you see under the size here it says option. So click the number. So above the number is the label and then tick marks. So we are concerned with the number. Click on the number, expand the number. Then you can scroll a little bit down. So here now what we want is just we don't want the decimal. So make it 0 or you can take it out. Okay. So we replace it with 0 and then you will say add. As you see that now the two decimal place is gone because we said no decimal, 0 decimal place. Now that looks good and it's easy to read your access numbers. And instead of having those two decimal that, it cluttered my access. Now I will close the format access pane. So the next thing we need to do is we have to remove the filter and the data labels. So to do that, we will go to the plus sign here, the chart element, and I will remove the data check sign, data label check sign. It took it out. Then I will click the filter and then I will select the bonus, the commission, and then I will say apply. So now I have get it back to what it was. All right. The next now is to organize the workbook. To organize your workbook, the first thing is that we need to change the color of the expense chart. So to change the color of the tab here, you will have to do right click. You will click on the tab color, and then we are looking for the first row and color number 8, which is SN4, green SN4. This is the one. This is the one. As you see now, the tab color change. Now we need to rename the sheet 1, the next sheet. So double click the sheet 1. And now override by 6 dash month space financial space projection and press the enter key. Now they want us to change the tab color. So do right click on it, tab color, and they want number 6 color, which is the blue color. So it should say blue SN2. So that's the blue SN2. Now, when you switch between this, the chart and the sheet, you will see the color now. That's the blue color. When I click on the 6-month financial projection, then I will see the color for the chart. Look. Now we need to reorder the sheet tabs because I want to have my 6-month financial to be the first sheet. Then I need the chart to be the second. And instead of being the chart first and then my 6-month worksheet is the second. So to move it, just you have to move to the chart and drag it. As you see, I have like a piece of paper and a black down arrow. Just move that to the end of the 6-month financial projection and then release your finger from the left key. So that's how we interchange them, see? All right. Now the next is we will go back to the 6 month. Now we will go back and check if we have any spelling check, if we have any spelling error. So first I will click on Kathleen. I will go to review and the proofing spelling check. I don't have any problem with my spelling, so I will say okay. So the spelling has been checked. Now we will have to preview and print the worksheet. So we will go to File, Print. Now we have to change the orientation and we have to select landscape. And then some of the stuff is cutting off. So we have to go to the last option, noise scaling. And we're gonna select fit the sheet on one page. Now I can see everything. And then you will hit the print, right? And then if we click then the next page, now here it says the active. So if you say print the entire worksheet, now I see here one of two. So if I click next, it's gonna be the chart. The first will be my worksheet with the work on it. So I will go back and I will hit save. Now changing the view of your worksheet to shrink and magnify the view of your worksheet or chart. You can go to view, the view tab, and then you could go to the zoom, and you can zoom accordingly. So if you want to zoom it down to 100, I will select 100 and I click OK. So that's 100 now. All right. Now, if you want to change it to 75%, you can do so. You will just go here and you can say 75% is going to be a little more smaller. So I can go back and I click this icon of the zoom 100%, right? You can make it 200%. That's 200%, right? And if you look down here, it moved to 200 now, see? My flashlight. So I can move the bar a little bit in the middle if you want to. So that's 134 now. But if I go to the view and 100%, that will take it to 100%. Next is to split the window into panes. Why do we need that? Is that when working with a large worksheet, you can split the window into 2 or 4 panes to view different part of the worksheet at the same time. So splitting the Excel window into 4 panes at the cell E8 allow you to view all the 4 corners of your worksheet simultaneously. Now you have to figure out how many columns I have, and then you have to choose the 4 corners so that you're gonna cover all the 4 corners. So to do that, I will zoom myself a little bit. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns. So obviously I will go with E8 here. E8, right? Which is the expense. And then from here, then I will go to Windows, and then I will hit split. Split. As you see now, my window changed to the 4. If I'm here, it's gonna move, it's gonna show me equally what's going on. Look, I can see everything. Like now, if you want to get rid of the split, you will go back to the window and you have to remove the split. All right. The next is to freeze the worksheet columns and rows. Freezing the worksheet columns and row is a useful technique for viewing large worksheets that extend beyond the window. So to do that, because sometimes what happens is that if you have a large worksheet, and then when I move down, I cannot see now the columns title because I am moving down, right? So if I go to the right-hand side, it's gonna hide the stuff. So I might not know what to say. So it's better to freeze those columns, right? So to do that, we will go to row number 3 here. This is row number 3. Or we can select B4. B4, this guy. And then we will go to the Windows group under the view. And then we will click on freeze all pane, the small down black arrow. And then we will see you can freeze the first column, the first top row, freeze the pane. Now let's go down and see what happened. You see? Now the thing is that if I go this side, it's gonna work. Look, it's not gonna freeze it. Unless you went here and then you said freeze the top row, the first column, and so on. So we did the first column. Okay, we freeze the first column. If you go down, it's gonna move. So either one of them you can do. Now, if you want to get rid of the freeze, you will go here and you will say unfreeze. So now it's not been freezed. Look, everything is moving now. All right. Now the next is what if analysis. Now this is actually a good way is in using in Excel the what if analysis. So to analyze the data in a worksheet by changing the value. So the book said, why do you need to change the values? The effect of changing one or more values in the what if exception table essentially posing what if questions. Initially posing what if question now. It allows you to review the result of different scenarios. So what we want to do actually is that we want to change this value from 136,000 to 145,000. Now, if we don't have the goal seek command in Excel, it might take me the whole night to change it. And what should be the other cell that will make the 145,000 that we want to change to, right? So to do that, for example, what we want to do is we want to change these 136,517 to 145,000, right? So to do that, you will select the H16, then you will go to data, the tab that said data. Then you will go to, let's move my screen. We will go to We will go to data and then forecast, and then you will see what if analysis. What if analysis? Click on it. Goal seek. When you hit the goal seek, the first thing that you see, it says in the goal seek dialog box, the first is set cell. Which cell you want to set it? This is the one. So we are in the right cell. To what value you want to change this? We want to change it to 145,000. By changing which cell you want to change so that you will achieve your goal, the 145. So we want to change B23, which is the side rental. So click here in the third box by changing what? The side rental exception, which was the 10%, right? So I want to achieve the goal of 145,000. I want to change the operating income total by changing the cell B23, our exception, the what if exception. Now click OK. In a few seconds, Excel will flip these numbers. You don't need to use a calculator to do all this stuff. Everything is what is done. In a few seconds, Excel will do it. Now click OK. So now here you achieved your goal. The next thing that we have something called Insight. The Insight feature in Excel uses the Bing search engine and other internet resource to help you locate more information about the content in your workbook. So what if I need to know about something that I typed? Instead of going to Google, I will be in Excel and I will get a lot of help regarding any of the topic I want to search. So in this case, let's go to A6. Gross margin. So I want to know about the gross margin. What is gross margin? So being in Excel, you will go to the review and then you will see the Insight group under the review tab, and then click on Smart Lookup. Now in the right hand side, you should see all the information about the gross margin. See all the gross margin here. We have the Wikipedia, we have what the gross margin is all about. So instead of going outside to google.com and then type gross margin, within Excel, you will get all the information you want. So that's one nice feature that you have using the Bing. As you see here in the bottom, it says the search engine is Bing. All right. So you will close it. Now, if you need to know about commission, for example, I will go back to review, smart lookup, then it's gonna tell me about the commission and all this here, how to calculate the commission and so on. The last thing is the accessibility feature. Excel provides a utility that can be used to check the workbook for potential issues related to accessibility. Accessibility refers to the practice of removing barriers that might prevent individuals with disabilities from interacting with your data or the app. So we need to check and see if our workbook is also good for the people with disability. So to do that, we will go to File, and then we will go to Info, and then you will see it says Inspect Workbook, check for issues. So click the small down black arrow, and then we will go with the next option, check accessibility. Click on it. When I clicked it, it said there is an error here. There's a missing object description, right? And the other one is just a warning about the contrast. So let's go and see what is there. Double click it. It says in the chart, there is something that's missing, the description of the chart. So double click it. It's gonna take you straight to the chart, right? So in this case, we could do right click, let's say like this. There should be an option that says if you want to change the text. Here we go. There should be an option that says to change the text. See, view the alt text. And then you will type here, you will say 6 month, 6 month projected expenses. Now close it. Now close this. Now let's go back to the file, info, check for issues, check for accessibility. Now I don't have any error. I have just warning. It's warning about maybe people will have a problem reading this, right? So that's just a warning. So everything looked good, perfect. And that ends my lecture regarding chapter number 3, working with large worksheet, charting, and what if analysis. Thank you.